again. And here we go, game number 1 of the Grand Finals. Pokemonemaker on the left, g0ne1001 on the right, and we have the Annihilate into the Galarian Corsola. Great start for g0ne.
This is an absolutely huge start for g0ne1001. Exactly where I want to say, and has got the Shadow Sizzle into the into the Drapion. So Shadow on Shadow and a Crunch coming in. This will do a large amount of damage. And I think g0ne knows at this point he 100% is just going to be investing heavily into...
no!
And does get the defense fall. And g0ne is going for the Trailblaze here. Both moves will be resisted using a little bit more energy. No shield for Pokemonemaker. And this is going to force g0ne potentially to use another shield. Or can he get there? No, the Aqua Tail comes through. g0ne 100% using these shields is confident that he's got what it takes to get through these Pokemon from Pokemonemaker. And look, this does leave a lot of energy here. And sorry, shields. No shields, sorry, for g0ne1001. A lot of for Pokemonemaker. And that is a trait we've seen from Pokemonemaker, leaving 2 shields a lot of the time. And he's going to be forced to use 1 shield here, however. And then we'll get the farm down.
We now have Sizzle going down. There is a Pangoro and a Galarian Corsola. You have to bring in the Galarian Corsola here because these Astonishers do so much damage. You'll deny Annihilate the chance to get to a second Rage Fist. Pokemonemaker needs to swap out to that Gastrodon here, and that invites g0ne to potentially swap into that Pangoro. You might actually want to chip and dip, put the Nightshade damage onto this Gastrodon, and then go to the Pangoro, knowing that you still have a good chance of trying to Astonish down that Annihilate later on. Here's that Nightshade. Gastrodon going to go down to a little bit above half health. Here's Pangoro.
Pangoro in, but that delayed swap does allow a lot of time for Pokemonemaker to get a heap of energy here into this Pangoro. Forces the last shield out from Pokemonemaker. Do we see a buff from this Night Slash?
No buff on this one, but there is so much energy on this Gastrodon. 1 Body Slam won't be enough to KO this Pangoro, but it'll only need 2, or you might even be able to Mud Slap down from here, potentially, bringing it down into the yellow. We are so close to another Night Slash. Gastrodon needs to unleash that energy, and now it is all up to Corsola. Corsola needs to farm down the rest of this Gastrodon and still have enough health to survive the counter damage from that Shadow Annihilate.
Corsola has to get there before they can get to this Water Pulse, because Water Pulse will KO, and there it is Pokemonemaker who is going to take out this game number 1 with excellent play from this Gastrodon, putting in a ton of work, and it may have been that delayed swap that really ended up costing g0ne1001 that match, to be honest.
Yeah, no wonder Galarian Corsola is a ghost type because it just disappeared at the end of that game, leading Pokemonemaker to a 1-0 start in this first best-of-5 set. Again, he needs to win this first best-of-5 to reset the bracket to keep on going. Now, in that set, we saw Pokemonemaker lean into that Galarian Corsola, the Annihilate actually also coming, and Drapion actually staying behind in favor of that Gastrodon, which worked out really well into g0ne's team.
Yeah, I think g0ne was definitely worried about the Galarian Corsola, which is why he opted for bringing in that Pangoro, but had a good matchup, but just wasn't quite able to just navigate it exactly as he wanted. And I think Pokemonemaker showed really how much he was able to use that Annihilate to get that shield advantage and that Gastrodon just with that huge farm down, all that extra energy, just really, really advancing his way through that matchup. g0ne forced to use 2 shields against the Drapion. While it felt like the right move at the time, it left him a little bit short in the end of the matchup.
Yeah, Sizzle didn't really get to do much after that, right? It was up against that Shadow Annihilate. He was able to throw that 1 Night Slash to get 1 shield out of that Annihilate, but you sort of are just going down at a shield deficit at that point. It really didn't feel like Sizzle was able to perform at its best ability. It felt like he just got a little bit stuck in that matchup against Annihilate. And look, Pokemonemaker recognized that Sizzle was quite strong and ran a team that was quite good into Sizzle, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, the Gastrodon, quite strong into that Sizzle. The Annihilate are doing so much counter damage as well. It was just a really good start for Pokemonemaker. And now g0ne is going to have to make a little bit of a call here. Based on that losers finals, I'm actually predicting that Pokemonemaker is going to change his team, not necessarily dramatically, but I think he's sort of laying the cards on the table, saying like, look, g0ne, you have to understand that I have your Scissor's number. Leave it at home, and now he's going to go a little bit weak to Scissor. But let's jump into game number 2 of the Grand Finals, first set, and we have that Galarian Corsola again into the Annihilate. Another great start for g0ne. He just needs to keep it going.
Yep, and here we go. And we are going to see him staying in, going for that chip and dip strategy because it was such a strong lead. Oh, no, no chipping, just dipping. And that's probably not too bad because this Galarian sorry, this Gastrodon does not have that much health. The Astonishers are actually almost able to do enough, and it's getting almost close to that Hydro Cannon range.
It is getting very close, but this Gastrodon has a lot of energy. It is almost at that Water Pulse, and you have to start being wary of that if you're gone. This Hydro Cannon is well placed into this Gastrodon, bring it down into the red, but your Rollouts aren't really doing much damage at all. And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if GO1 just lets his Blastoise go. He brings in one of his other Pokemon, whether it's the Pangoro or the Galarian Corsola, and gets a little bit of farm, but you really want to make sure that you do not end up with your Galarian Corsola into that Drapion, because all of a sudden it could get a little bit dicey pretty quick.
And he's going to get the shield here. I'm surprised GO1 didn't throw early to try and pressure a little bit of something out of Pokemonemaker. But switch advantage is going to be very big here because we do have an Annihilate and a Galarian Corsola. Galarian Corsola is going to be forced to do a lot of work for GO1 1001. Maybe looking at just sacrificing the Pangoro here.
Yeah, I don't mind this play. You know that Galarian Corsola is going to be useful. It makes sense that you want to give it the best chance to succeed as you can. Pangoro is going to take it down, gets an extra Astonish onto Galarian Corsola, which is really nice, but we have to care about this Drapion. If Drapion lands a single crunch, that might be lights out for the game for GO1. It won't be a one-hit KO, but it'll bring it so low that these Poison Stings are really going to start to matter. Power Gem, getting shielded up by the Drapion, and there is now a 2-0 shield advantage for GO1. And he needs to get through this Drapion.
Does need to, and here comes this first crunch. No attempts at bait from Pokemonemaker because that debuff may be a little bit more helpful later if he can land a Rage Fist. But here comes the Power Gem. How much damage is Power Gem able to do to this Drapion? It will not take it out, but might put it deep into the red. No, it is still in the yellow, so there is going to a lot of work still here to do. We can see GO1 is furiously tapping here, and has gone for the swap, and he has landed an Ice Slash. So there is potential here now for a farm down, and he is going to have to save those shields of his Galarian Corsola. He will have to save them because Drapion has a move loaded up. And so he's going to need to go for an Astonish down here. And oh no, he's throwing the Nightshade straight away.
This makes sense. By throwing the Nightshade, you deny the Annihilate the chance to get a Rage Fist off. You mean that you just have to deal with that Drapion. You know that you only have to burn that one shield, but he's almost at 2 crunches, Strutter. He's going to feed the Aqua Tail. If GO1 were to call this, it would be huge, but no call. He gets the bait. 1 Protect Shield going up, and now this Drapion is ready. It has a crunch ready to throw into this Galarian Corsola. Corsola is so far away from the move. It is so close. There is such a little tiny bit of health on this Drapion. You could almost Astonish it away, but this crunch going to secure a second game, and Pokemonemaker has brought this to a 2-0.
Wow, Pokemonemaker really showing a strong showing there. I really did think that GO1 was going to leave it all on that Galarian Corsola, but he used that shield up and just wasn't able to come back after that. Unfortunate for GO1, it's going to have to rethink. I do think the Pangoro play is quite strong, but what we've seen so far is Annihilate is coming with either Galarian Corsola or Drapion. He's not going to bring both. He's not going to allow a Pokemonemaker is not going to allow his team to be core broken by that Pangoro. So, and obviously it's going to struggle. Credilli's going to struggle. So he's using and shifting to that Gastrodon as sort of like a neutral. It's sort of become, his Gastrodon's almost become Galarian Corsola. It's neutral. It's just soaking and setting up and able to maintain switch. GO1 1001, I would have liked to have seen him throw that Hydro a little bit earlier because Pokemonemaker was assured of that fast move down. Sometimes you throw a bit earlier, you leave a little bit more farm. He would have had switch. So he had left a little bit more farm on his Blastoise or something else. It might be more enticing to just let it go instead of going down to shield. But in the end, Pokemonemaker decided to shield up right at the end. Fast move with the Mud Slap down the Bastiodon, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and I feel like you are on the money with that Pangoro, right? GO1 has brought it 2 games in a row, and it hasn't really found a use case. It feels like it's just a little bit awkward, a little bit stuck both times. If you could land it onto the Galarian Corsola, brilliant, awesome. If you could land it onto the Drapion, it's not like the greatest, but it would at least have some play there. But it just keeps finding itself in the wrong spot, and it's almost like if you're GO1, you have to think, do I want to take the risk? Do I want to just go for it one more time? I watched in that losers finals where Pokemonemaker was able to sort of scare off the Galarian Corsola by running triple strong into it. And here we go. Game number 3. Pokemonemaker, if he wins this game, he will reset the bracket and will go to a bracket reset. Fearow into the Galarian Corsola. And this is an interesting spot because Fearow does not care about the Astonish damage at all. But 1 Power Gem does do a lot of damage.
Power Gem does do a lot, but it isn't something that Fiora needs to shield straight up because the Astonish damage, whilst normally good, being the normal type, it doesn't do quite as much as you would like it to do. So here we go, and no shields coming out for GO1001, entering into his first... Oh, and we get a shield from Pokemonemaker. Does not want to take this damage. Feels like Fiora maybe have some play in the back. And a quick switch here from GO into the Blastoise, and Drill Peck coming in for Pokemonemaker.
I feel like this is a case where Drill Peck is a very high damaging move. It brings Blastoise down to a little bit over half health. You have to swap that out into that Gastrodon, and now Gastrodon is in a position where it can actually, if you want to invest shield, comfortably win this matchup against the Blastoise. You can eat one Hydro Cannon, you don't really want to take another one, and if you just take this all the way down, you can avoid, you know there's a Galarian Corsola on Gone's side. You do not want your Annihilate to see that Corsola at all, so if you can win switch advantage here, you can make sure that you have quite good alignment in the back.
Yeah, and that alignment is going to be critical because we have a Shadow Scissor in the back and an Annihilate in the back for Pokemonemaker. So going to be critical here. Ooh, this will not quite KO. This will be a very tight. It can roll out, get there. Oh! Body Slam caught! Galarian Corsola! Absolutely resisting all of this damage. That is one of those little game changers in this game.
Yeah, here's the deal though. We have Fearow coming back in, and Galarian Corsola has so much energy, it will actually get to the Power Gem before the Drill Peck, forcing this last shield out of Pokemonemaker. The question is though, if you're Pokemonemaker, you can now comfortably farm down. You don't need to throw your Drill Peck straight away because these Astonishes are doing nothing to you. You're seeing a Fearow get energy and energy and energy. It's passed through 2 Drill Pecks. It's at like 100 energy now. Finally throwing that Drill Peck to get the KO on Corsola, and now GO needs to fight through a Fearow with so much energy.
This is a very tricky spot for GO. He's going to need to get some energy on this Scizor, and here comes the first Drill Peck. He is going to need to be shielded now. Pokemonemaker needs to make a decision if he's going to swap straight into this Annihilate now, or if he's going to stay in. And it looks like he's... No, there comes the Annihilate 1, and then the Annihilate. GO has to decide, is he going for Trailblaze coming through?
Oh,
this
makes sense.
This will do a lot of damage. Shadow on Shadow, it is going to boost this Scizor.
Whoa!
Oh, it takes it out! That is huge. It's got the attack boost now. Fearow is only 3 or 4 Drill Pecks away, so Pecks away from a Drill Peck, and brings it back into 1, 2. Is GO able to get the catch?
Oh, wow!
We've done fast move damage!
He predicts the catch into Blastoise. Gastrodon comes in and Bullet Punch goes down. Sizzle taking out that Gastrodon.
GO has brought himself back from the depths of defeat with that extra damage. You saw how much damage those Bullet Punches did once they had one stage of attack boost from that Trailblaze. Essentially bringing GO straight back into this. I really feel like this is a massive turning point for GO. Thoroughly looking forward to it. I feel like his confidence will be up. He's going to push forward from here. Now the answer is it's like firing back. Pokemonemaker is going to have to decide how to respond.
Now here's a replay from that game. We saw that Hydro Cannon, Gastrodon acting as that sponge, hanging on, and the Galarian Corsola swap, catching that Body Slam was absolutely key for GO here. This energy just going nowhere, and all of a sudden Gastrodon being completely neutralized. Easy fodder for Scizor later on in the battle.
Then we come in and we can see here, this Trailblaze. Steve, I was not expecting this to KO. It did so much damage and boosted that Scizor hugely. Takes out this Annihilate, and then it's essentially just ready to clean everything else up. Look how much health that Fearow has. I thought, oh no, there's no way he's going to be able to take this out. There's just too much health.
Well, here was the decision point though. Pokemonemaker recognized that Blastoise was waiting for a catch, and Pokemonemaker was convinced that he was going to go for it. See, 1 peck, 2 peck, and rather than going for the Drill Peck that would get a KO, he actually went for 1 more peck to try and KO that Blastoise on the swap in, and so he made a call. Unfortunately for him, it was the wrong one, giving GO this game. It all came down to that 150-50 call of, is this Blastoise going to come in to try and catch my Drill Peck?
And interestingly, GO was running Shadow Scizor, and Pokemonemaker was running basically his 3 strongest Pokemon against Shadow Scizor, the Fearow, the Gastrodon, and the Annihilate. And somehow GO was able to pull out a win with the Shadow Scizor. It wasn't just an innocent bunch there. It won the game.
You know what Mike Tyson says? Everyone's got a plan until they get bullet punched in the face. And Scizor is just making an absolute meal out of that battle for sure. And now it comes down to GO. If he can win the next 2 battles in a row, he will, on the spot, become the Brisbane Regional Champion.
Fantastic. I really think they're going to be... No, they are not going to be taking their time in this one. They are in, and it is Fearow into Blastoise. GO has nailed a really nice lead here in the position, and it is tricky in the back. But let's see what the trainers are going to do here. I feel like they like energy. No one is wanting to throw early. They all want all the energy for themselves. Here comes a drill peck. No shield from Gone.
Gone is in a bit of a dicey situation. Is that Scizor really has nowhere to go? It is this same 3 Pokemon that is so bad, but we do see a catch of the Hydro Cannon onto Gastrodon. This will weaken this Gastrodon down a little bit, but if you're Gone, where do you go? Because you can't split a Scizor.
You go straight into that Pangoro here, and you will outpace. You do not particularly worry about a Body Slam, and you want to get a little bit extra for your worry. So I think what we'll see is Gone will no shield this, go up to 2 Night Slashes, and then we'll throw. So he's got some energy in the back for that Fearow.
Unfortunately, whether it's the Fearow or the Annihilate, both Pokemon are really just going to use Pangoro as a farming opportunity, but Gone, throwing the close combat here, it does secure the KO, and I think that Gone is really hoping that, 1, our defense is debuffed, so they get less farm, and 2, maybe, just maybe, I can get a Night Slash again on one of these Pokemon. Here's the Annihilate, and here is that Night Slash.
Night Slash goes unshielded. So we are in the same scenario as before. We've got Bullet Punch is going to have to finish this one off for Gone 1001. And there is a Blastoise there for a catch. 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's a sneak. No catch. He's going to have to burn a shield here. I mean, how much health does that Fearow have left in the back?
It's got about half of its health remaining, and it does have a little bit of energy as well. We get the KO here. It is now Scizor with 1 shield against a Fearow with 2 shields. We need to start seeing, I think Gone wants a boost off of this Night Slash, because if he gets the boost, all of a sudden, these Bullet Punches will do so much damage to this Fearow. No boost on this one, but here's another Night Slash.
Oh, Pokemonemaker not throwing. So now Gone 1001 is going to dip straight into his Blastoise for a chance to try and do some rollout damage and get to... Oh, he's out of Hydro Cannon! He's out of it! He's got it! Gone 1001 has pulled this one out of the bag, and we will be tied up at 2-2. Shadow Scizor is decimating trainers left, right, and center.
This is energy management. It is making sure that you know where all of your Pokemon are. That Scizor providing such massive Bullet Punch damage. Again, we were looking at that back line from the start of the game. Gastrodon, Fearow, Annihilate. This is not a recipe for success for Scizor. This is not supposed to be where Scizor is succeeding, but just with the power of making sure that it has that 2 Protect Shields it needs, is able to run away so far.
Now, Pokemonemaker has used that Gastrodon as that safe swap, and what we are seeing now is as long as Gone is able to have that Scizor not taking that heavy Mud Slap damage, it's able to do large damage. Bullet Punch hits everything else for good, hard-hitting neutral damage. Obviously, the Credillia will be in a lot of trouble, super effective, but even against the Annihilate, the counters are also only neutral, and Gone 1001 knows that the Scizor will outpace to the Night Slashes before the Annihilate gets to that Rage Fist. It is 2 turns faster. So this has been an absolute thrilling, and we are 1 battle away from potentially crowning a Brisbane 2026 regional champion.
You know what's crazy in these last 2 battles, Shredder? Not only is he running this Scizor that is quite weak to the Pokemon that Pokemonemaker is using, he's also running Pangoro, who is also weak to Annihilate, weak to Fearow, and not that awesome into Gastrodon in the grand scheme of things. It feels like, he's just able, because he was able to get that Pangoro onto the Gastrodon, that is the only piece of setup he required to click the Scizor button and all of a sudden start powering through.
Well, Pokemonemaker has been forced to use a shield early, and I think that's something we haven't seen him do in all of the other matches today that he's won. He's able to hold on to those 2 shields. So recognizing that he's being forced to use a shield early, it's really flipped it around on him, and Gone's been able to capitalize on that lack of shields in the back.
But speaking of capitalizing on shields and all, it is time to get into it. What could be, it is match point. If Gone wins this battle, he will be the regional champion. Pokemonemaker wins. We go to 1 more best of 5. We're starting off with a Gastrodon into a Galarian Corsola. Scizor is hanging out in the back.
Scizor is definitely in the back. Oh, wow, and an instant swap into Blastoise for Gone 1001. Very aggressive swap there. Feels like his Corsola is going to be needed in the back.
Yeah, look, I think that he's recognizing there is probably an Annihilate back there. And if he can save his Galarian Corsola for that Annihilate, that could put him in a very strong position later. Plus, he's able to get this big damage onto Gastrodon early on to give himself a little bit of farm potentially. And honestly, Gone just wants to get this Gastrodon out of here. He wants to make it Gastrodon as quick as possible.
Yep, and now this is interesting. Gone not shielding, choosing to stay. It will survive this body slam and will put the pressure back onto Pokemonemaker to use the shield early, which I don't think Pokemonemaker is very interested in. I think he will let this go, knowing that they survive, and will just mud slap down.
Oh, we do see the Protect Shield come up from this Gastrodon. Early shield from Pokemonemaker, and now Gone has to think, okay, Scizor would not be good here. We have to go for our Galarian Corsola. Galarian Corsola is going to be going for this Astonish down. It can soak up all of these water pulses. It can definitely take this first one. And I don't think that Gastrodon will even get to a second before it gets taken out.
And now the question really is, can Shadow Scizor with 2 shields bulk its way through the back line?
Look, Annihilate is so healthy. That is still so much work for this Scizor to do. Drapion comes in though straight away, and now a Power Gem is going to go into Drapion. But here's the problem. This damage is going on to Drapion, where Scizor kind of thrives. You kind of want this Galarian Corsola to take health off of the Annihilate. Now Scizor has to deal with a full health Annihilate, and it still has 1 shield in tow as well.
Well, it has 1 shield in tow, but are they going to use a shield here, or will they be saving their shield for that Drapion in the back? This is a really tricky choice for Pokemon Maker, and he's using his shield. Will Gon see a boost here? That would be a huge result. No boost. He's going to be forced to throw fast moves into this. Now Gon has 2 shields up. He's letting it go. He's going to go for a full farm down on this Galarian Corsola, which is really going to stick it to that Drapion in the back. Here we go. There's 1. There's 2. Is it going to do 3? No. So this is a full farm down. There is no Rage Fist left. Gon has 2 shields, a ton of energy, all the Power Gems in the world.
Poison Sting is completely resisted. There are 2 shields on Gon's side. He has the Power Gem. Power Gem going to connect to the Shadow Drapion. Gon 1001, 1 more Astonish. And
One more time!
Gon is your Brisbane Regional Champion.
Gon 1001, no longer the bridesmaid. He is the bride. He is our champion. Congratulations to both trainers. Pokemonemaker played an absolutely phenomenal tournament. But in the end, Gon from 2-0 down was able to, in this first bracket, come back to win 3-2. Congratulations. I'm so thrilled. What an amazing performance. And it was Shadow Scizor, once again, who did the vast majority of work. And this time, Gon had the coolness and the calmness to, even though he had 2 shields, let Scizor go. Because he knew the Poison Stings were going to do nothing to the Corsola. All he had to do was just wait for it to come to him, get the energy, and it was there. And I think that 100% deserves a replay. We should watch that again. Let's get in and see how Gon 1001 became your Brisbane 2026 champion.
Scizor, my goodness. Here it is once again, that Drapion with so much energy. It had 1 crunch ready to go. It could have got to another one in time, but there was no time. Galarian Corsola, 1 Power Gem. So close, and then 1 last Astonish. Gon holding onto his shield, letting that Scizor go down. It was such a clinical play, letting that Corsola come in, get that farm, and secure the KO.
Absolutely phenomenal. I don't think that anyone would have seen after a 2-0 and a dominant, like Gon played well. Gon tried to do everything to the best of his abilities. But let's face it, those first 2 battles were very dominant performances from Pokemonemaker.
Oh, yeah.
What did Gon change? He changed to the Scizor. Shadow Scizor is not just fast move, damage, GBL Pokemon. It is something that can be used in your Show 6, and we were absolutely thrilled to see it just decimating. It worked its way through that Fearow. It worked its way through that Annihilate. It set up the Corsola. The Corsola then finishes off the Drapion with energy. It was just such a phenomenal performance from GO 1001. And like I said, the clarity, the calmness that I think he would have had during that battle to get to that point, to let that Scizor go, really shows a depth of character and a growth that he would have made, especially in this last year from him. And really looking forward to where he's able to go from this point. But GO 1001, your Brisbane regional champion.
Look, Gon has been in the top 8 5 times in his history. He's been to the top 4 twice. He's been to the top 3. This was his first time in the grand finals. And finally, after all of these years, playing ever since the 2022 season, able to finally get that gold medal that he has so long fought for, so long needed and so long deserved in this championship series. I mean, I couldn't think of a more deserving player to be able to lift that gold medal at the end of the day.
Oh, we are trying our best to get Gon to come up to have a chat with us, but I can actually imagine Gon is really struggling with the emotion, just how, what a release, like, he knows that he has probably not quite lived up to his own expectations. His own expectations is that he would have been a champion long before now. And now he's achieved it. It's been something that's been just at the edge of his fingertips, and he hasn't just quite been able to overcome the few little obstacles, the Ric Flairons, the Valiant Vicious, some of those trainers that just got the better edge of him. And it looked like for all money, the Pokemonemaker was going to get that edge again today. But he definitely dug deep and found what he needed to get it done. And what he needed was Shadow Scissor.
There were not a lot of Scissors in this tournament, but Gone Scissor again and again and again just showed itself as such a powerful Pokemon. Being able to just bullet punch through every single Pokemon. I can't get over the fact that not only was Scissor fighting its counters in the Annihilate, in the Fearow, in the Gastrodon, Delirium Corsola also taking down Drapion in the end. I mean, Gone just, I think he looks at a matchup and he says, I think that most people would say that we lose this. Not me. I know how to get through this matchup. I know how to get through Pokemonemaker, and I know how to get through the Brisbane Regional Championship, not dropping a single match.
Incredible. Undefeated. Well done. The interesting thing was, in every one of those matches, that Shadow Scissor came up against the Annihilate. It didn't avoid it.
Yeah.
It came up into it every time. Now, it was able to avoid the Gastrodon, which is, I think, the real win condition in this matchup, was a Gastrodon, that fast move damage. Even though counter is quite a heavy hitting move, it still is neutral, and the pace of the Scissor was just that little bit quicker. Made such a huge difference. And I almost feel like the threat of the Pangoro for that Drapion and Corsola may have made him made Pokemonemaker change up what he was doing and use a lot less of that Galarian Corsola, and we did see a lot more of the Gastrodon. Interesting, those first 2 losses almost setting up the next 3 wins.
Yeah, that's such a powerful story. And I think Gone is truly one of the most powerful stories around. He's truly been working so hard. Again, I'm at his locals, and I see anytime he loses a battle, he sits there and he analyzes and he thinks about, how could I have improved my gameplay? How could I have done this just that little bit better? Where was the mistakes I made? And he just develops himself and works on his gameplay. He focuses on what he can do to improve as a player. And clearly today, it is all paid off. He's finally a regional champion. And I'm so proud of him. Even though, I'm now going to have to face him at locals as a regional champion. This is tough.
Well, make sure you have some Shadow Scissor counters, because that's definitely going to help you out, Steve. And is this time to share Gone stories? Because I remember Gone in OCIC 2023. Again, he was performing not quite to where he would expect. We went out. We all had a great time. It was such a big event. And his flight actually got cancelled. Gone 1001. His flight got cancelled to the next day. And so he's stuck in Melbourne. No accommodation, no nothing. And it was just fortunate that our accommodation had a spare couch. And so we got to host the Brisbane Regional Champion of 2026 back in 2024. Three. OCIC 2023, and then was able to get him to his at the airport and to his flight. So
well, look, Gone is on his way, but let's just quickly take a look at the bracket, how Gone got here, because he had to fight through so many top trainers just in this last part of the bracket. I mean, the talent is immense. First, you can see here in the winners bracket, he had to take out the 2-time regional champion, Rick Flareon. Then he had to take out Jumothy, who's been sitting at the top of the championship leaderboard in Oceania for quite a while here, just until little last weekend. And then finally taking out Pokemonemaker, who had already came 3rd and 1st in his last 2 regional championships. This is literally his 3rd regional ever, and he has the full 1st, 2nd, 3rd sweep. But Gone, able to just keep his cool and fight through all of it, win those 2 best of 5 sets, and become our regional champion.
Just absolutely incredible. For all the way back to 2022 at St Kilda, Gone was competing then. I don't know, is Gone missed a regional? Has he attended almost every single regional since then?
He probably almost has, to be honest. I feel like he's definitely hit the vast majority of them.
Yeah, every single regional that I've been to, I've been able to spend some time and chat to Gone, and I was like, I was doing well, but just this, I couldn't overcome, Rick Flareon, I think it was in Melbourne last year, and I just couldn't quite, 1 or 2 little things just went against him, but not today and not tonight. And we have for you right here with us, the man, the myth, the legend, Gone 1001. Please come on in and join us.
Wow. I can't believe it. This is like a dream. Ever since like 2022 first regionals, I was behind Valiant Vish and Rick Flareon. I lost to Rick in the first round, and so I dropped to the losers in that very first regionals, and then I went all the way to the end. And then I play Valiant Vish, and then they end up being top 2. And we know Valiant Vish and Rick Flareon, like just their records, they've been previous regional winners, and I haven't been able to get past them. And today I was able to beat Rick Flareon on the stream, and that was like a huge milestone for me. And then just talking to Valiant Vish earlier, his retirement, I think he gave me a chance, like by retiring, so like I can like focus on other players than and like not have to focus on like him. And then like I mean I played really good players today. I played like Fort Wah. I played Jimothy, who's a really good local. I played Rick Flareon again, and then Pokemon Moneymaker. He was really tough because like even if I won lead, like that didn't matter. So like I had to reverse sweep him, which was huge, and like I can't believe I actually was able to reverse sweep him without going into like losers. So essentially today I was like undefeated, which is crazy, and it's I feel like it's like a dream. Like I've tried to like get to this point for so long, and like I guess the hard work is paying off. Like the slow grinds and like just slowly improving and like just thinking about energy play and then thinking about win cons and like in the end like I had quite a few win cons, like, and then when I had the 2 shields I could 2 shield either Scizor or Corsola, and then like when I was able to farm down his Annihilate with Corsola, I was like, I have 2 shields against a Drapion on a Corsola with energy. I'm like, wow, and I can't believe this is game 5. And then after that game, I just, I couldn't believe it. This is huge.
Well, Gon, one thing I've noticed in your play today is obviously there's a lot of emotion now, which is awesome. And I don't think anyone is happier for you in the Australian scene, apart from the gentleman in this room here with us. But your composure, I know there was a big difference. Like there was no flustering, there was no stress. You knew where your Pokemon were, and like letting that, you're like, oh, I can resist those poison stings on my Corsola. I'm just going to let this go. He can't swap it in yet. And you just look so much more comfortable out there today than we've seen you in the past. And now I noticed you mentioned, you always had to think about the other guys, but I think in the next regionals coming, other people are going to be thinking about you. It's going to free you up to just concentrate on yourself and do what you want to do now, because you're the Brisbane Regional Champion 2026, mate.
This is unbelievable. I thank you guys for putting on this stream, and like I can rewatch everything, like, and watch your amazing commentary, and like thanks Steve and everyone behind the scenes as well for like putting all this together, and like shout out to TM Pizza. Like I'm an affiliate of them. I'm like sort of a newcomer, but like they still like help support with like scrims and stuff, and like there's so many good players over there. Like they're really good as well, and like just all the Sydney players, all the players that came, like there's inspiration all over. Like even the locals, even from players, new players like Jai. Like he's the one that brought me into Blastoise. Like Blastoise was always like one of my favorite mons, and like, but I wasn't good with it until like he suggested it. Like this was season before, but just before Worlds, and I'm sure if anyone's watched, I used Blastoise before at Worlds, and I did pretty well. But like, his favorite Pokemon's A9, and like, so for me, like being able to use like my starter Pokemon when I did Pokemon Blue and just do well with it, like it's just huge. And this is just like a dream come true, and like really, really huge.
No, mate, there's no one more deserving of the title. You've worked so hard over so many years, and it's great to see you get the rewards for all the effort you've put in. And like I said, no, you absolutely deserved it. You played your absolute heart out today, and I can't wait to go enjoy the rest of the evening with you now tonight. So I think we're going to grab the other casters in now and join us as we congratulate GO1E and wrap up Brisbane 2026. Any parting words, Steve?
Dude, this guy has been working so hard for so long, and honestly, a well-deserved regional champion.
You guys are like the best casters like Australia could ask for, and like Steve, the MVP, being able to show like this on stream and be able to rewatch it, and all his hard work behind the scenes, like that's I feel like that's really big shout out, and thank you for your work and keep doing what you're doing, because we need people like you.
Boys, any words?
Whoa. Mic drop.
Sorry, I'm new to this game. Congratulations to GO1E. Congratulations to everyone who competed today. Unreal scenes from the Australian PvP scene and beyond with the Oceania and APAC players, Japan and the like. So congrats to everyone from myself, Mikey,
Bengoro!
And Blasto!
Thank you, everyone. Any final words, Steve? Are we cutting out now?
Thanks ESL for letting us run this. Thanks Pokemon Company for the support. Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate all of you and all of the Oceanic Battlers. These guys for all making it possible. We look forward to seeing you in the next one, wherever that may be. But until then, we'll catch you then. Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Woo!